Hi everyone, my name is Jim. I'm from China, and my hometown is the most north part of China in Mongolia. We have four family members, including me, and I have one younger brother. We are twins. My favorite sport is basketball, and I like cooking sometimes. My favorite food is fried rice, I think, and my major is hospitality management. And now I have my MBA class in here. Okay, China has more than 5,000 years history, and maybe and China have 56 nationalities in the country. So there offer some diversity culture in this country.
The history of China dates back to over 5,000 years ago. The first dynasty was founded in the 21st century BC. This dynasty was called the Shao dynasty. This marked a change from a primitive society to a slave society. This era was followed by the spring and autumn and warring states periods. The first emperor was Yang Xing in 221 BC. He was a man of talent and bold vision. He established the first centralized, unified, multi-ethnic state in China. The Han Dynasty. During this period, agriculture, handcrafts, and commerce were well developed. The Silk Road, which is pictured to the right, was also developed during this period. This road was crucial to their trade. This road went from Han capital Chang through Xinjiang to Europe. The Song and Yuan dynasties. During these dynasties, handicraft industry and domestic and foreign trade was at an ultimate high. Many merchants and travelers came from abroad. Marco Polo from Venice traveled extensively in China, later describing the country's prosperity in his book called Travels. Four great inventions that came from China during this time was gunpowder, printing, papermaking, and the compass. These were all further developed, and they began to introduce them to foreign countries.
In 1368, Zhu Yongzhen founded the Ming Dynasty. During this time, he built palaces, temples, city walls, and a moat in Beijing. In 1421, he officially made Beijing his capital. In the late Ming Dynasty, the Manchus in northeast China grew in strength. They invaded the Central Plain and founded the Qing Dynasty. The Revolution of 1911, led by Dr. Sun Yat-sen, ended the rule of the Qing Dynasty. The Revolution of 1911 holds great significance in modern Chinese history. But the monarchical system was discarded and the Republic of China was founded in 1949. From this point, China had entered a new communist era of stability, with the reform and opening up policies of 1978 bringing in China's economic growth. The capital of China is Beijing. Some of the major cities are Shenzhen, Hong Kong, and Tianjin, with the total population of China being about 1.4 billion. There's approximately 115 boys for every 100 girls in China. As a result of them balance, there are about 33 to 34 million more men than women. And here's a picture of China's flag.
Social and cultural norms in China. In China, the casual clothes that they wear every day are just like that of Westerners, but in comparison, Easterners wear more conservative clothes. When attending the Spring Festival, women may wear a cheongsam, which is pictured to the right, or a skirt, and men wear suits. They value wearing the correct attire to events. If they're underdressed, their dignity could be lost. The color red is well liked in Chinese culture as well, and is often worn to significant festivals or ceremonies. Before 1949, the relationships that occurred were arranged marriages and ones due to matchmaking. The groom's parents would pay the bride's parents for her hand in marriage, and she would leave her family and move in with the groom's family. Widows were forced into remarriage, and marriages were based on families and their level of wealth. Your family choose who you get to marry, or do they just respect what you want to do? Do you get to choose who you marry?
In old China, people will help their children to select someone to marry, but now it's changed. Yes, now we can fall in love with someone we like, and yes, we can decide our own life, and we can choose our own wife. Not we don't need to see our parents' face, and they will also respect for that, because it's they care about your happiness. They not only care about your maybe the other the girls' families, social societies. They don't care about that in nowadays China.
Today, however, their relationships are very much westernized. They are allowed to choose their own partner. Romance and love are a minor factor in selecting a spouse, though. They look for such qualities as health, chastity, and domestic skills. They value their parents' acceptance of their partner as well. In a traditional Chinese marriage ceremony, the bride and the groom both wear red. Their outfits have gold and silver embroidery and may have a dragon and a phoenix that symbolize balance. Women wear a red silk veil that hides their face, and it's not taken off until the bride and the groom are alone on the night of their wedding. A northern Chinese bride wears a one-piece frock, a kipe, and the southern Chinese brides wear a two-piece dress, a guanghua, or a kwa. Only immediate family attend the wedding. In a modern marriage ceremony, the bride wears a white dress and something red. This is like the U.S. tradition of something blue. Men wear tuxes, and the bride may change twice, from a wedding gown to a traditional red dress for tea time, and again to a cocktail dress for the reception. Their wardrobe is westernized, and they invite as many friends and family as they want. Family is a basic unit of society in China, while an individual is just one part of a family. Traditionally, they live 4 generations under one roof. They enjoy tracing their ancestry, and they take pride in the relatives they have from thousands of years ago. The Chinese traditionally value harmony between individual, family, and society. The harmony in a family and between clans ensures peace and the advancement of society. As of September 25, 1980, the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party published a public letter that all should adhere to the one-child policy because of a rapidly growing population. Some parents from an ethnic minority group or those whose firstborn was handicapped were allowed to have more than one child. It was more effectively implemented in urban areas than in rural areas. It made various contraception methods easily available and offered financial incentives and preferential job opportunities to those who complied. Those who did not comply suffered economic and other sanctions against them. In the early 80s, they even forced abortions and sterilizations. The reduction in birth rates occurred after 1980, and the average dropped to less than 2 children per woman by the mid-1990s. As a result of the one-child policy, the gender ratio has become skewed toward men due to the desire for a male child. The abortion rate for female fetuses rose, and in result, there are fewer females available for marriage. The proportion of elderly people grew, yet there are fewer younger family members to care for them. Children born after the first child may not have been reported either. Therefore, they have a hard time getting an education or a job. The one-child policy was enforced for most of the Chinese until the 21st century, but in late 2015 it has been announced that in early 2016 the program will end and families will be able to have 2 children. The elderly are treated with the greatest respect. Women have become more equal in the job world, much like the United States. Women can hold a government job, but may choose to be a homemaker as well. All people are entitled to an education and may attend college.
Chinese customs, beliefs, and practices. The major religions of China include Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, Christianity, and Islam. Buddhism was once the most popular religion in China, but then it went through years of persecution and many temples were shut down and even destroyed. Buddhism has since made a comeback, but approximately only 15% of the current population identify as Buddhist. Buddhism is based on the teachings, the Dharma, of Buddha. The main goals of Buddhism is to reach enlightenment or nirvana and to end suffering and to end the cycle of rebirth. Taoism is a religion that is estimated to have arrived in China over 2,000 years ago. It is based on the principles of yin and yang, that the world is ruled by two complementary and balancing forces, such as light and dark, cold and hot, action and passivity, and so on. Goals include harmonizing with nature, being virtuous yet humble, searching for spiritual immortality, and self-development. Confucianism is a religious philosophy based on the teachings of Confucius. Confucianism is a very optimistic view of humanity and believes that human beings can work to be improved and even perfectible. It does stress the ethics, behaviors, and obligations between people based on their relationships, such as husband and wife, student and teacher, and so on. Confucianism stresses loyalty, sincerity, honor, duty, respect for elders, and more. Practicing Confucians believe in investigating how everything is interconnected, searching for completion of knowledge, being sincere, being pure at heart, and the cultivation of the self, the regulating of the family, and the creating of a good governance of the state. Additionally, they follow 5 major principles. Li is for ritual etiquette, manners, and gravity. Men's nature are alike. It is their habits that carry them far apart. Zhen stands for kindness to fellow man. Forget injuries, but never forget kindnesses. Xin stands for truthfulness, faithfulness, and sincerity. The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. Yi is for righteousness or honesty, generosity of the soul. When we see men of contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves. And Xiao stands for filial piety, for strong family values. The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home. In most recent years, Christianity and Islam have also become more popular with the young people in China. The main language of China is Mandarin, although there are countless other regional dialects and languages that are also used throughout the country. Mandarin Chinese uses pinyin, traditional characters, simplified characters, stroke order, and tone changes to convey a meaning. There are 4 different typical tones used in Mandarin, and the basic grammar structure is subject, verb, object. Here is an example of a traditional character and a simplified character. They both have the same meaning. They both say shenma, which means what. Here are examples of the tone changes. The first tone is ma, straight out. It means mother. The second tone goes up. Ma means hemp. The third tone, ma, first goes down and then goes up. It means horse. And finally, ma. It means to scold. The different tones change the meaning of the word. Chinese culture, like all other cultures, has specific etiquette that is almost always followed. The most important rules often come when greeting someone. The first one is that the oldest person is always greeted first. This is, of course, a sign of respect and is shared by many other cultures. You always address someone by their title and their surname. Rank is very important. Highest ranks are always introduced first. Additionally, you never introduce yourself. It's considered rude. You politely wait for the person doing the introductions to introduce you. Business cards are often given out first and should be given and received with both hands. And you never ever write on a business card or simply put it on your pocket. You either hold on to it through the remainder of the meeting or you put it down on a table nearby. Punctuality is also very important. If possible, you should always arrive early. It is a sign of respect for whoever you are meeting. Bowing was once an important custom, but it has been phasing out in recent years. One may still bow to a person of high status or authority, but more commonly, handshakes and nods are used. Here are some simple do's and don'ts when interacting with people of the Chinese culture. You'd never ever give a clock or a cutting utensil as a gift. Clocks are related to a symbol of death for the Chinese, so giving one as a gift is taken as you're waiting for that person to die. And giving a sharp utensil is taken as you are trying to sever the ties and connections that you have to that person. On the other hand, slurping and belching are most acceptable. They are signs that you are enjoying your meal and it is taken as a compliment to the cook or the host. Also, don't ever lose your temper or raise your voice in front of guests. Losing face, especially in public or in front of important people, is considered dishonorable. Chinese people are typically very non-confrontational, and they don't tend to openly disagree with others. When you're dining out with someone, especially with an important guest, always try to pick up the tab. Usually the host will try to pay for the meal, but it is very good manners if you pay for the meal instead. In some situations, it is considered rude for you not to at least offer to pay for the meal. Remove your shoes when entering a house. This is also very common through many other cultures. It is a sign of respect for the host. Also, the Chinese are very proud of their country, so do not bring up any controversial or sensitive topics. It's rude. The Chinese people celebrate many different holidays and festivals throughout the year. One of the most important is the Spring Festival, widely known as the Chinese New Year in the West. This is one of the most traditional and important holidays in the Chinese culture. It is also an important time of family celebration in China. It's an official public holiday during which most Chinese have 7 days off of work. In the year 2016, this will fall on February 8th through the 22nd. This is also the year of the fire monkey according to the zodiac. This is a time of celebrating togetherness, worshiping ancestors, the famous dragon dances, temple fairs, red decorations, monkey decorations, and red envelopes. Red is considered to be a very lucky and auspicious color in Chinese culture. Red envelopes are little gifts that are given to children and the elderly that contain money inside them. Another famous and important Chinese festival is the Chinese Lantern Festival. It'll fall on February 26th of 2016, and it marks the end of the Spring Festival. The lighting of the lanterns symbolizes illuminating the future and birth. The most important and prevalent customs are enjoying lanterns, guessing lantern riddles, eating tangyuan, and lion dances. Riddles are put on some lanterns for people to look at and attempt to solve. If a person thinks they have the right answer, they may pull the riddle off of the lantern, go to the owner, and give their answer. If they are correct, they may receive a small prize. At least 2 highly skilled dancers work together to make one lion costume dance and perform tricks. The lion dance is said to ward off evil spirits and bad luck, and in turn brings good fortune and enjoyment to all those around. Tangyuan is a ball-shaped dumpling made of glutinous rice flour with different fillings stuffed inside. Usually they are sweet, such as white sugar, brown rice, sesame seeds, peanuts, walnuts, rose petals, bean paste, or jujube paste, or any combination of 2 or 3 ingredients. The roundness of the dumplings and the bowl symbolizes togetherness and wholeness.
And what are like a couple major holidays in your country?
In my country, there have 4 major holidays. The first one is the Chinese New Year holidays, and the second is Qingming holidays, and Dragon Boat holidays, and Mid-Autumn holidays is 4. We have 4 major, like it's such like America Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day, and like yes, similar.
Kind of like those.
Yeah.
What I learned most from our 30 Days in China project is that I was surprised at the number of similarities we share, such as our modern marriages. One thing that I had not known prior to this activity is that they have numerous tones that make up their language. I was also really surprised to learn that slurping and belching are considered to be okay in their culture. Overall, I had a really good experience exploring China with my classmates.
Through this 30 Days project, I have learned about the complex history of China. I honestly had no idea that there were so many dynasties in China. A lot of the etiquette, practices, and beliefs overlap with other countries that we have learned about from other groups that have presented thus far. I would love to actually witness some of the festivals like the Spring Festival because they look so decorative and spectacular. China has such a rich and long history of progress, change, instability, and success. It reminds me that our country, the United States, is still so young, and it makes me wonder if other students in other countries ever do projects like this on the United States culture.
In this project, I learned a lot about China. One thing that stuck out to me is how overpopulated it is. Being from a rural area, I'm not sure how much I would like that, being surrounded by so many people, like, all the time. But I really do think I would like to visit there because it's a lot more westernized than I realized. Their clothes, wedding ceremonies, gender equality, job opportunities, everything is a lot more like here than I thought it would be.
While researching China, I learned a lot of new information. For instance, I learned a few do's and don'ts of the Chinese culture. This includes not giving a clock or cutting utensil as gifts, and when going out to eat with a friend, you should pick up the tab. I also learned that the Chinese celebrate 2 festivals each year. They are the Spring Festival and the Chinese Lantern Festival. The Spring Festival resembles our New Year's, only unlike ours, they celebrate with dragon dances. The Chinese Lantern Festival marks the end of the Spring Festival, and they celebrate by lighting lanterns, which symbolizes the future and birth. Overall, it was a great learning experience.
One of the impressive things for me is the Chinese culture. Chinese culture is one of the world's oldest cultures. The area in which the culture is dominant covers a large geographical region in Eastern Asia with customs and traditions varying greatly between provinces, cities, and even towns as well. Important components of Chinese culture include ceramics, architecture, music, literature, martial arts, cuisine, visual arts, and religion. China has a long and astonishing history and magnificent, amazing culture and tradition. I learned a lot of things about China and its beautiful culture, custom, beliefs, and tradition. Another impressive thing is for me how greatly China developed and improved and greatly became one of the world's largest economically developed country.